Alrighty, hey guys, another Rome Total War 2 video coming your way. First one I'm going to do is the one I lost. This one has some Warriors of Mars units. I was playing as Egypt, and I was taking on... Here, I've installed the old Rome Total War music because I felt like giving it a go. So, here's my Egypt army. I brought 4 units of Royal Peltasts, who I don't think are as good as I last thought they were. 4 units of Mercenary Cretan Archers. I was expecting Horse Archers and Cavalry. 2 units of Camel Spearmen. 2 units Light Cavalry, which I've hidden in these woods here. And 2 units of Mercenary Kushite Shield Women. These are Warriors of Mars DLC. Spearmen, they have anti-cavalry tactics, so I was hoping for good things. Then 2 units of Mercenary Leopard Warriors, who I thought were going to be quite strong as well. Yeah, so I brought them. So let's have a look at my opponent's army. He's not really showing it all at the moment. He has a unit of Indian armored, just an Indian war elephants, no armor. Quite a few Persian hoplites, I believe, and some swordsmen. But you can't see them. 3 units of Eastern Javelin men, it looks like, with maybe a unit... No, 2 units of Eastern Javelin men, 2 Eastern Slingers. It also has a large number of cataphracts hidden in the woods somewhere. But we're going to fast forward a little bit, because there's just a little bit of skirmishing that goes on. So, what I've done is position my men so that essentially my archers are hidden in the scrub, my camels are hidden by the hill. I was hoping that would give me some sort of advantage to jump them. He has 2 units of Parthian horse archers, who are going to regret coming anywhere near my Cretans at this point. And you can see my Cretans wreck and take, in one volley, 1 unit of Parthian horse archers down to half their men. So he retreats. Now, I don't really feel like coming up this massive hill versus elephants into a wood. I know the wood would be beneficial for a cavalry fight, but I just don't like fighting woods. It's too messy. So I'm moving forward, as is he. So he has moved forward his Parthian horse archers. I have moved forward my men. This time the scrub is now holding the mercenary spearmen. My Royal Peltasts are holding the front. And I'm trying to shower these Parthian horse archers with as much as I can. I realise that in the woods they're not going to kill too many. But I figured, what the hell. Now, a sensible thing to do, I think, would have been to move my men here, where their right flank would be covered by this rocky outcrop. I have to say, I didn't see it until now, so yeah. But anyway, he's got his Indian war elephants hidden in the wood. Well, not hidden. Anyway, so there's a bit of a standstill. I don't really want to engage him in the woods. I don't... If I can pick at him, like I'm currently doing, and he's using Eastern Slingers, and I feel like I'll just trade. Right now, I just want to gain a missile superiority. He's not really killing many of my men. I've got these guys in shield wall formation, I think. Yep. And that's just to help them survive any stray pellets that come in their way. But as you can see, I'm doing pretty good in damage with my Cretan archers here. This prompts him to remove his cavalry contingent. Now, I was looking at this thinking, that's fine. He's got 2 units of Royal Cataphracts and a Noble Blood Cav. So I was thinking, this is fine. We've got this. This is not a difficult cavalry contingent to deal with. I have 4 spearmen, 2 camel spearmen, and 2 light cavalry that can come and assist. So let's just keep going, see what happens. I let him come around my flank. I do sort of put up a small defense. In fact, I send some mercenary leopard warriors to try and charge. Now, I don't believe they can brace themselves, so they do lose a lot of men there on the charge, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but I figured, okay, wow, they are massacred. At this point, I bring up my camel spearmen to intercept, and simultaneously my mercenary Kushite sword shield women in to take out his noble blood cav. I activate the fast charge and then the anti-cavalry tactics. However, unfortunately, here his royal cataphracts have routed my leopard warriors, and my camel spearmen are not doing much better. My mercenary Kushite warriors, shield women should... Yep, there's the anti-cavalry. They are suffering from the fatigue of the... and again, I think these charge of these cataphracts just wipe out all my shield women completely.
Counter-cavalry tactics!
I guess it's because they can't brace. I was sort of hoping they would brace the charge. So down here he's got another unit of Eastern Cataphracts messing around. My light cavalry's come in to take out his Royal Cataphracts, but is doing very little. They're fighting, and to not much avail. My camels, my swordsmen, they're all trying to save my Cretans. It's not looking good. So rather than just losing this cavalry fight completely, which is not going well, the camel spearmen are less than impressive, I have to say. I thought they might be a bit more useful. I do manage to sort of kill a few of his cataphracts, but for 30 cataphracts I've lost so many men here. I mean, if we have a look, I think you can see how many kills. I don't know, I haven't quite got that. I need to enable that probably. So I've decided, sod it, I've definitely lost if I don't get rid of these elephants. So I move forward with one unit of Cretan archers and push on these elephants with fire arrows. I'm trying to basically hold back his men with my Royal Peltas. I don't see how much men he actually has. He still has a noble blood cab here. I've got my light cavalry pushing forward to try and harass his missile warriors. Here his Indian war elephants, I believe, do run amok. I think. I know they do. They do it twice. Here I almost killed his Eastern Cataphracts here, but he's got another set of Royal Cataphracts here and they're just fighting it out. They're no issue. So I do manage to send his elephants running amok, which is fantastic news. However, they're out of control, but only for a short while. I bring back my light cav from the missile harassment because I've revealed he has a huge amount of men that I won't be able to deal with after I've dealt with his cataphracts. I'm charging in. I'm trying to basically keep his cataphracts under check, but they're just not dying to anything. They're winded, and his elephants are back, which is another problem. So I'm trying to get rid of them again, but my general unit is just standing in the middle. Unfortunately, I do send them out of control, I believe, but they're right next to my unit, and the momentum carries them into my Royal Peltas, and that's enough to do some damage. At this point, his cavalry's just mopping up. I tried to hold some sort of front line, but it didn't really work. His general is almost gone with 9 things, but as you can see, my spearmen have gone. There was no point to those spearmen. All of them got crushed on the charge. I should have got spearmen that could brace. I wasn't quite aware that how strong bracing is against cavalry. I understand it, but at the same time, I was hoping with a thick rank of spearmen charging in that the momentum would sort of at least favour and kill some cataphracts as well. They got spears. Lesson learned. These guys are still out of control, but they're out of control on my side. It's over. I'm just trying to fight with the last few men I can here. I can wipe out a couple of units, but his noble blood cab is moving around. I got some Royal Peltasts, but that's about it. His actual main infantry corps is still coming, and they're not like the greatest infantry corps, but they'd be enough to hold me while his cataphracts and such finish. But the amount of damage those cataphracts caused during the engagement at the back was a surprise to me. I shouldn't have underestimated them. I believe this is where my Rome Total War 1 experience sort of lets me down. Back in the past, you could hold a good unit of cavalry with a strong, even just a not so great unit of spearmen long enough, and they'd get a fair amount of kills. But unfortunately, against these cataphracts and cavalry, these weaker spearmen that can't brace, unlike hoplites, they just struggle. You need to have shield, like Germanic spearmen might be good, but really it was lacking, and that's inexperience from my part. I haven't used these mercenary war women, but it was still a good fight. I really enjoyed it, and you learn stuff from each time. So it was a pretty decisive victory, to say the least. I felt like I did some things right, like sending his elephants out of control. It was just a shame they kept coming back. If I braced my spearmen earlier, maybe I could have dealt with these cataphracts, or possibly even I should have invested in more, I don't know, peltasts or something like that, which could get through the armour of a cataphract quite quickly. But as you can see, it's all she wrote, and it wasn't pretty. But it was a close defeat, apparently, although I think it's difficult to get a decisive defeat. I mean, I only got 343 kills, and apparently it's a close defeat. But you can see his Royal Cataphracts got 425, his Royal and 248, that's huge. And my spearmen, I mean, one unit of mercenary leopard warriors. So this is the one I assume that got charged. did 1 kill to a cataphract unit while they both charged at each other. And that's a supposedly quite strong spearman unit. The light cav and the camels, so underwhelming. They did nothing. And a lot of this light cav kills were from skirmishers. The Royal Peltasts did something, but obviously they weren't really in their element. They were fighting with swords against cataphracts. So, yeah, bit of a dismal game on that half. But you can see who did the real damage on the... I mean, if you look, how many did you lose? 1,259, and there must be 700, 800 of those kills were dealt by the cataphracts, 100 by the elephants. That's a huge amount. So you learn. Take spearmen that can brace. Anyway, on to a brighter note. We're going to watch another battle. Let's have a look at it. So this time I played the Odrysian Kingdom versus Seleucids. I call them Seleucids because I like pronouncing it hard. So, we're on the Migdol map, and I have brought 3 units of Thracian bowmen, 2 units of Thracian, no, 4 units of Thracian nobles, but I'll divide them into 2 sections like I did in the battle. 2 units of Thracian nobles on each flank, supported by Thracian warriors. This is on each flank. In the centre I have 3 units of Thracian bowmen. I have 3 units of Thracian peltasts. On top of that I have 2 units of Thracian cavalry, 1 on each flank, and then in the centre I have 2 Thracian royal cavalry where my general sits. Now, my plan here was, I assumed Seleucids. I expected elephants, and I thought the only way I'm going to counter elephants is with peltasts and skirmishers. So I brought a good skirmishing contingent, but I also expected if he brought infantry, he would bring thorax pikemen, that sort of thing. Sorry, not thorax, I'm not that clairvoyant, but pikemen. And he did. He brought thorax. They're not amazing, but they will hold my men at the front. So, this justified why I built my formation into 2 halves. I decided, okay, let's not be localized, let's not get caught on the front of pikes. If any of you watched maybe a couple of my older Rome Total 1 videos, you might recall a game against Air of Carthage where I divided my 2 flanks and then pushed the cavalry through the centre. So if you can imagine this sort of line breaking into 2 halves, and there's a paint tool somewhere, I believe. I know there's a paint tool. I need to think about it. Oh, hello. New Steam. This is going to really bother me. Nope, not there. Okay, whatever, doesn't matter. So. Anyway, let's just go back to the battle. I'm scouting out his men. I found some light cavalry on the flank, which my Thracians are sort of dealing with. I've also just moved another Thracian cavalry up onto the side. Now, this exchange isn't great for me at first because he does catch a few of my men, but I do take a couple out, and in reality, I'm just there to scout. I didn't really expect too much of these Thracian cavalry if there weren't elephants. My opponent hasn't brought elephants, and I'll just go through what he's actually brought. He's got 6 units of thorax pikemen. It could be even 7. No, it's 7. 2 units are light peltasts, 2 units are Syrian heavy archers, 1 agama cavalry, which is like a light, very light shock cavalry, a unit of Hellenic cavalry, Hellenic cataphracts, and another unit of agama cavalry, and his light horse, of course. So my plan was to basically, essentially, sort of build in a sort of hinge in this centre point with my 2 flanks. To address the flanks, he'd have to sort of divide up his box into 2 halves, which would leave their left and right flank in the centre open to a cavalry charge from my Thracian Royal Cav. Now, I do have a small problem, is that though Thracian nobles are extremely strong, their melee defense is terrible. They get hit by those cataphracts, they are going to take vast amounts of casualties. I need to absorb cataphract fire or a charge with my own cavalry. But for the start, I just decide, sod it. I want to weaken up his infantry, because I think once his infantry are gone, and pikes are weak to missile fire, I can do well. So I just move my archers forward, and I just literally fire into these infantry. I don't want them doing anything. I move my peltasts forward as well. They're pretty capable, these Thracian peltasts. They actually have an extremely good melee attack and defense for what they are. Let me see. Melee attack 28. I know it's just amazing, but weapon damage 35. It's pretty good. So I'm already losing the missile battle, so I'm trying to close in and get all as much damage as I can do onto these pikemen as possible. You can see I'm trying to aim at these flanking ones here, and you can see I'm having relative success. At this point, I'm moving my infantry up. I just want to get around his flanks. And you can see he's already sort of doing what I was hoping he would do, which is sort of curl up his flanks. It's not quite opening up this center point, but that's alright right now. He's the one being not very reactive. These pikemen will do nothing the more he develops his flank. They're just guarding against a cavalry attack that I've even decided isn't going to happen now. I've moved my Thracian Royal Cav different sides. At this point, my Thracian Cav are just trying to pester anything they can get to. You can see his pikemen are taking good amounts of damage, and that's good for me. I don't want to deal with his pikemen too much. Here, my Thracian nobles commit, and they get a good charge onto these 4x pikemen who are already weakened. So they're down to 44. You can see here that his 4x pikemen are not doing fantastically well at addressing their front. I do charge my Thracian peltasts, who have used up all their ammo at this point, into the thorax pikemen. At this point he charges, and as you can see his Agema cavalry, I think, does a decent amount of damage to my Thracian nobles considering. And he does a similar thing here. So he is taking out my Thracian nobles in this flank, but it's taking up all his cavalry. On this one, however, my men are just getting around the flank here and just doing massive amounts of damage. I have more men to support. My Thracian peltasts have held a pretty long time there, and you can see we've already routed off the 4x pikemen, and my Thracian nobles and skirmishers and are sort of just holding off his cavalry here, which is good. The Thracian cavalry goes in for a flank charge here to try and basically wipe out this unit here, and unfortunately they hold. I was hoping my Thracian cavalry would be a bit more effective, and unfortunately my Thracian warriors are not holding at all. At this point it's looking a bit shaky, but the flanks are still mine, and you can see he's not using these men at all. I've still got my archers firing in, so they're at least doing something. I've got one Agema cavalry just on the edge of routing, but unfortunately my men rout first. And it's Thracian warriors. Not the biggest loss. My Thracian nobles will keep holding for a long time. They're a strong unit. They've got a ridiculously high attack. That's my bonus here. I have to be in the flanks. I cannot be in the front of these pikemen. But as you can see, his cavalry are being whittled down. If I can get a good charge with them still, with an infantry unit like with Falcons, and you can see these Falcons are doing amazing. Let's just look at what goes on here. You can see I start bringing down Cav, and it's not massive. I mean, it's not spearman level, but it's enough to drive him away. At the same time, my Thracian nobles are doing horrendous amounts of damage here. I've got a Thracian noble attacking thorax pikemen from the front isn't perfect, I'm not going to lie. But over here, I've got him bunched up. His pikemen had to turn, but in their swift, in their desire to turn quickly, they've sort of clumped up and made it a lot easier for me to get the flank charge off. On this side, my Thracian Royal Cav have managed to beat down this thorax pikeman who are weak. I'm going for his archers now. I want them dead. I still have 2 units of archers myself, or 1. No, only 1. Shame. But overall, things are going very well. I've got more Thracian warriors taking on thorax pikemen. They're not going to win that. But I have some Thracian Royal Cav coming in to just help out. My Thracian cavalry, so the skirmisher cav, is coming to just basically try and hold up these cav here. And my Thracian nobles are doing an admirable job. Like, they are fought pretty much the last man. On this flank, things are looking better, but still not amazing. His pikemen are holding a deceptively large amount of time. But I do have a local superiority against this one pikeman. Got a bit overkill. I was sort of hoping it would rout a lot quicker, but it's under a lot of beneficial buffs, so it's not really going down as quickly as I would like. However, as you can see, around the place, for the most part, his light peltasts are fighting my Thracian bowmen. I should probably have got my Thracian bowmen out there, but if you ever wanted to watch a peasant battle, this is always fun. We'll come back to that in a minute. The important stuff's happening here, where we're both sort of trying to rout off as much as possible. He's got his Syrian heavy archers even going into melee combat now. I've actually lost a unit of Thracian nobles there, but I immediately rout off his thorax pikemen. Now, the way it stands at the moment is I have probably a numbers advantage, as well as I have a good amount of Thracian Royal Cav still on the field. I mean, they're basically full, and they're doing a lot of damage. I have 1 unit of Thracian nobles who are doing extremely well, They're charging into these thorax pikemen. I probably get a bit lucky here. He's rearranging, which means he suffers a lot of casualties needlessly there. He has his Hellenic cataphracts, but weakened as they are, they will not take on Thracian Royal Cav in a one-on-one melee. I've got Thracian cavalry coming in to help, and he does have this unit of light peltas that won over there. I've got another Thracian cavalry which came back from routing. But as you can see, I'm just trying to basically rout off the centre point of pikemen so that I can just swamp his cavalry, and it's working. His thorax pikemen are dying pretty quick now, and they're exhausted. They're not even going to fight particularly well. His cavalry actually rout off first, which is nice. With his general routing as well, it's just one unit of Thracian Royal Cav to sort out. Sorry, unit of 4x pikemen. These pikemen lasted longer than I was expecting, considering how many flank charges I got on them. But the battle is won, and I was quite happy with this battle. I did feel like going into it, the Odrysian Kingdom is so good as a faction, but you just have to, you're so weak to so many things. Cavalry charges, bowmen, any sort of missile, elephants would be a problem. Skirmishing, general pikes will do the job fine against most of your elite infantry if you get stuck on the front of them. But they have some good things going for them. So as you can see, it was sort of quite evenly spread. One Thracian noble's got 301, which was the one that was lasting till the very end. But the Thracian nobles did their job. The Thracian peltas did very well. The bowmen mixed. The warriors didn't do so good. Maybe I wouldn't have taken them again. But the Thracian Royal Cav did their job. So it was a tough battle fought, but in the end, I'm quite happy with it. So that's all from me. Stay safe, and I'll keep trying to keep bringing you videos while I have time.